Nimisha Priya has been in news for a very long period of time now. The entire country is standing in sympathy of this Kerala nurse who is on a death execution row in Yemen. The execution was scheduled on July 16th itself, but the execution did not happen because of the continuous negotiations. Now there are disturbances in these negotiations because of the lack of a democratically elected government in Yemen, which India doesn't recognize. But besides all of these international channels, India is also making use of the religious channels to negotiate with the government of Yemen. Hello and welcome to Legacy IS Academy. In today's video, we are going to delve into the details of Nimisha Priya case. What is the latest update we have and why exactly is she standing on the death row? So talking about the latest update that we have, most importantly, is the update from the Ministry of External Affairs, who has clearly spoken that there is no official confirmation from the government of Yemen that the execution has been cancelled. As we discussed, July 16th was the scheduled date of her execution and the execution did not take place and it was said that it has been suspended. Now, the suspension continues. Yesterday, there was an update that it will be cancelled. The new update that we have from Ministry of External Affairs is this execution has not been cancelled, it is just suspended. Whatever we had update from various religious communities and the news media channels, these are incorrect, inappropriate information. So that is the latest update, which is an unfortunate news, but the negotiations are still continuing. Now talking about the background of this case. Talking about how did she land up in this execution row, death row. So Nimisha Priya has studied nursing in India and she practiced nursing. She decided to practice nursing in Yemen. That was the time she had moved to Yemen in 2008. Now we have many Indian nurses who are working in West Asian nations. But West Asian nations have their own restrictions from the side of the employers. So was the restriction that Nimisha Priya was facing. Despite of all these restrictions, she took all of them as a challenge and had been working regularly and as a good taxpayer in that region. In the meantime, since 2008 when she was working, in the meantime she had visited India in 2011 to get married off. But by the time there were disturbances in Yemen, the Houthi rebel which wanted to carry out a military coup and oust the government, they started rising up post in and around the Arab Spring. So 2012, 2013 saw the disturbances in the country. At that time, in 2015, the government of India had issued an advisory to the people that they should not be travelling to Yemen, or if they are staying in Yemen, they should come back. But Nimisha Priya, despite of these advisories, continued to stay and she got into an agreement with the Yemeni national because she wanted to open up her own clinic, her own hospital. She wanted to quit the job of the low-paying clinic that she was working and she wanted to open up a new hospital of her own. But this was not possible because as per Yemen government rules, you must have an agreement or engagement with the local. So she also got engaged, also got a document prepared and partnered with an Yemeni national, and both of them together started running this hospital. Initially things were all running fine, but slowly and slowly she started realizing that her partner was siphoning off funds and was not sharing the profits equally. So she registered a complaint against the individual and the government arrested them. The judiciary of Yemen arrested that individual in 2016. But in 2017, this individual was released. Once he was released, again he started harassing her. And after this harassment, Nimisha Priya was so much annoyed also because her passport was kept with the partner itself. So she took recommendations from all her known people or her well-wishers, and somebody recommended her that she can put up sedatives, she can give sedatives to that individual and can get back the passport. So she decided to give sedatives to that individual, but unfortunately that sedative was for an overdose. That overdose of sedative led to the death of that individual, and that acted as the turning point in the entire story. After this, the things started turning even worse when she decided to cut off the body into different parts, and she had dumped the different body parts into a water tank. After this, she tried to fly away from the country and was caught in 2018 while she was trying to enter into the border of Saudi Arabia. Since then, she has been arrested, and that basically completes the entire story of why is she standing on a death row. Now, talking about the options that we have to save the lady. The first option is obviously the negotiations between Government of India and Government of Yemen. But the problem here is Government of Yemen is not a democratically elected government, and India usually does not negotiates, communicates with a non-democratically elected government. Houthi rebels have largely occupied the administrative positions of the entire country, and thus it is very difficult to negotiate from the side of the Government of India. So next option that we have is through the religious channels. It is the Yemen is largely a Sunni nation, and being a Sunni nation, it respects to the voices of the Sunni leaders. Now in India, we have the Sunni leader, one post which is associated to the most revered position amongst Sunni Muslims, and that is known as the Grand Mufti of India. And this position, the person who is sitting here, he is known as Abu Bakr. Now, Abu Bakr Musliar is the negotiating point, because as we discussed, through government channels, the negotiations have stopped, or largely it is not working out. So now the negotiations are taking place through religious channels. Now, Abu Bakr Musliar, who is the Grand Mufti of India, he is the religious head of Sunni Muslims. And this post is not only revered in India, rather entirely in South Asia. So to a large extent, Yemen has also been agreeing to or revering to this post. And this is right now the kind of negotiation channel that India is making use of to save the lady. Since as per his yesterday's post, what he had posted on Twitter, the entire execution stands cancelled. But soon after he had posted this on Twitter, he had removed it. So that has put up a question whether do we have an official communication from the government of Yemen, the existing government of Yemen, or not. And for that, Ministry of External Affairs has given this clarification that there is no clarification coming from the government of Yemen. So as of now, this channel is also not giving us some concrete output. So what other channels are we left with? In religious law, we have two options associated to the consequences of murder. One is qisas, the other one is diyat. So what is qissa and what is diyat? Basically, if a family has a victim who has been murdered by another individual, so the family has the option of either carrying out a retaliation, that is the murder of that individual who has been responsible for the murder of the victim. That is one option, and that is known as qisas. Qisas basically means retaliation, an eye for an eye. So if your child has been, or if your family member has been murdered, you also have the authority of killing down that particular person who has been responsible for this murder. The second option is the option that India is actually assessing. This is the concept of the blood money, also known as diyat. So what is blood money? That in exchange for murder, if one of the family member has died, so instead of retaliation, instead of killing the person who is responsible for murder, you can actually pay him. Okay? So the victim will be paid by the murderer or by the murderer's family, basically. And this is the concept of blood money. So this is the last and final option that India is exploring. There are international organizations who have raised so far $40,000 to pay it to the family of that individual, Yemeni national who has died. But the family members are not agreeing to any monetary compensation. They themselves have stated. So in blood money, we have this law also that the victim's family must agree to this. That payment of that in exchange of murder, the payment will be done. The victim's family must agree to this, and in this case, the victim's family so far has not agreed. So the international community, government of India, through the religious channels, we are basically trying to negotiate with the family members so that in whatever has happened, in exchange to that, some amount of money can be paid to the family members, and we can get back that individual, we can get back Nimisha Priya back into our country. With all hopes in positive lines that this execution stands cancelled, and we will be able to bring back Nimisha Priya alive back to her own country. That with that we come to the end of this discussion. If you have any doubt, please do let us know in the comment section below. Thank you so much and all the very best.